Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. My name is Niko Demchuk. I'm a lawyer at AMLBot, and I will be your host for today. First of all, thank you all for joining us to explore crypto regulation around the world. If you were following us before, you might have noticed that we already did sessions about MiCA, European Union, Bermuda, Salvador, Kazakhstan, and today's focus on Turkey. So a bit of agenda. We will start with the crypto regulation in Turkey, placing emphasis on licensing requirements, process, compliance expectation, cost, hurdles, advantages, disadvantages of opening a crypto business in Turkey. For this, I invited two experts from Turkey who have hands-on experience of applying for crypto licenses in Turkey. And the final 10 minutes, we will be addressing your questions that you can ask during our interview or after as the chat go along. So now let me introduce our speakers. The first speaker is Salih Demirtaş, a general manager of JT İnovasyon. Salih, the floor is yours. Please let us know more about yourself.
Thank you, Nico, and thanks for everyone. Thanks for AMLBot and all great attendees for this webinar. I hope we will have a great webinar and we will try to answer all the questions for these effective sessions. My name is Salih Demirtaş. I am working as General Manager of G2 Innovation Consultancy Company. We are focusing on licensing fintechs and information security and cybersecurity services and risk advisory services in Turkey, mostly in Turkey. And my expertise shortly can be summarized as security, risk, and technology consultants. I work for banks, telco operators, and also audit and advisory big four firm previously. Now I am managing our, let's say, 20 valuable colleagues consultancy company as G2 Innovasyon.
Thank you so much, Salih. And our second speaker is Gokhan Polat, who is the founder of Clovera.io. Gokhan, the floor is yours.
Good evening. I'm Gokhan Polat from Turkey, Istanbul. I am the founder of Clovera.io. By the way, I am also the business development lead of Fintech Istanbul, an organization providing consultants and training for the fintech companies in Turkey. In Clovera.io, we are providing also consultants and training in emerging technology areas. We are helping crypto sector companies to improve their business models, and we have we are also working with in some project with Salih also. I am also at ISACA Emerging Working Group. Maybe you heard about ISACA. It's developing some standards, certifications for IT sector. And I am also at the Cloud Security Alliance Blockchain Reality Working Group. We created two standards for blockchain. One of them is cybersecurity governance framework, and then the other one is privacy governance framework. And today we'll explain our expertise, the legislation side of Turkish crypto sector with the process, technology, and roles. We'll not just explain the legislation, we'll also provide some insights from what should we understand from this legislation. By the way, I also had an experience as a risk director of enterprise risk management at a Turkish blockchain technology company. Thank you, Niko, for AML for inviting us.
Thank you for joining us, and I see that we have quite a knowledgeable expert, especially also from the technical background. So I guess we will hear some nice insights about how to comply with technical requirements when it comes to licensing in Turkey. Okay, Salih Gokhan, I will be asking questions without addressing specifically to any of you, but whoever is ready from you, please start answering them, okay?
Okay, we are both ready.
Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. And my first question would be about specific crypto regulation laws in Turkey. I remember in 2022 when I was working for a crypto exchange, and we were also researching about crypto regulation in Turkey. At that time, I did not find any specific crypto regulation. So I was reading news, I was talking to people. I remember there were some drafts law, or there were some laws, projects or laws that were discussed in the government, but at that point of time, there were nothing concrete, nothing specific. There might have been some just a registration with your financial crime or intelligence unit. I know the exact name, but 2022, there were actually nothing specific. And the only news that I think not only me, but many who were interested in crypto regulation in Turkey, we know or we seen was about that in Turkey, to pay something using cryptocurrency is prohibited. So it's not possible, like right now we have many online stores that sell some products or services, and there is also alternatively, you can pay with your credit card, with a fiat currency, or you can also pay with stable coins or cryptocurrency. As far as I know, since 2021, in Turkey, it's prohibited. So I would love to know, first of all, has anything changed? And now it's also possible to buy something using cryptocurrency, because after 2022, you also have some new kind of regulation that is very specific for crypto services.
Okay. Gokhan, if you excuse, I can start with this question.
Please go on.
So maybe we can start with the regulations in Turkey. In terms of finance sector, more than 25 years, we have a good banking regulation, a robust regulation in Turkey, and it started everything in Turkey. So right now, we know all the finance sector are highly regulated in Turkey in terms of central bank, banking regulations, supervision agency, and capital market boards, which we called it SPK. Now, we are nearly to be regulated in terms of Central Market Board, SPK, in Turkey for crypto asset providers. You are right. Previously, these area were not regulated, but starting with this year, all the operating companies will be licensed in near soon. So we have a new regulation, and this regulation is very comprehensive, and I think we will try to explain it during this webinar. Right now, we have 4 communiques. This communiques explains IT systems, IT auditing, also business operations, and how to manage operations, and also licensing requirements. So you can see at the screen right now. But you have asked a little bit difficult questions just at the beginning, because you also mentioned about how can I buy anything in Turkey with crypto. You are right. You also explained it in 2021. Our central banks all prohibited and canceled all the buying stuff service in Turkey with cryptocurrencies. But in that time, we did not have any regulations according to this area. Right now, all the sector participants are expecting this will be eased in near soon. Let's see. We hope in 1 or 2 years period, this regulation will be eased and cryptocurrencies will be also engaged with, how can I say, in commerce. So the finance sector will be a comprehensive way, including crypto, stable coins, etc. But we need to see the backgrounds of it. Right now, we all, let's say, maybe 60 companies are to be licensed in Turkey. Then this license will ease and will enable the finance sector's comprehensiveness in Turkey. You can mention these questions in terms of, let's say, new regulations and technologies like Web3 improvements in Turkey, etc. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. This is an important question. Turkey is now following the European Union's regulations like MASAK, as we know. Last year, European Union enacted MASAK, and then we saw DORA is also addressing the crypto sector, and Turkey now enacted with SPK and legislative organization crypto-based legislation. But before SPK, we also had MASAK, and MASAK regulation, which regulates the anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist sponsoring over crypto sector. We also have a GDPR-like KVKK organization, KVKK legislation, which also tries to manage the data governance issues, data protection issues in this sector. So we cannot tell this sector was not regulated, but not specific regulated. And in July 2025, now we have crypto-oriented, crypto-focused regulation now, and it is focusing mainly on licensing, monitoring, and controlling of this sector. But still, it is prohibited to use crypto assets to buy something. But as Salih mentioned, we are expecting in the following time, as the Turkish legislative authorities understand and regulate the sector, there will be some improvement in this area. We are expecting that.
Okay, thank you.
So
Thank you for
I can add one sentence to this. We will have two types of companies in Turkey in terms of crypto. So one is platforms like trading exchange platforms, and second is custody institutions. Both of them will be regulated by Capital Market Board, and the previous law for capital market has been changed for crypto service providers. And I think in near soon, we will officially license service providers in Turkey.
Okay, so for me, just to understand, because you also mentioned before that now Turkey sort of adopted very similar regulation that there is in European Union, which is markets and crypto assets, MiCA regulation. And I also see at the slide that you sent me a bit before, and I do not see that that was a specific law. So do I understand correctly that Turkey's approach is a bit different? So you in Turkey did not adopt any specific law. You just made amendments to the existing law that will also focus on crypto services.
Okay, that's true. We made an amendment in the already in use SPK legislation, and they add some articles, or they updated some articles specifically addressing the requirements or defining the requirements for crypto sector. Yes, you are true. As we see amendments to the Capital Markets Law number 6362, we can see, and we are also now seeing SPK creating second level legislative documentation, as we see in the right side of that on the slide. New legislative documentation in second level is coming, and we also see TÜBİTAK governmental technology organization, scientific technology organization, is defining the technical requirements for a crypto ecosystem actor.
Okay. So let's say Turkey's approach is different from at least the countries that we already talk about, like EU, like Bermuda, Salvador, Kazakhstan, because over there they have specific law, one law that focuses on crypto services. In Turkey, I see different regulations, different supervisory bodies that will be responsible for oversizing, for licensing of crypto asset service providers. So it's actually very different approach from the rest of the countries.
Yes, Niko.
Okay, but there are some similarities as well, right, Gokhan? So
yes, there are some similarities. The main reason for this, now we see Turkish legislation there is no one authority. There are different authorities, and separating the roles of this authority. For example, SPK is defining the legislation process, governance process, internal audit process, but TÜBİTAK defines the technical aspects. And for example, Turkish Central Bank of Turkey also has a role in this domain, and they define the high level policies in crypto sector. We also see MASAK. MASAK also provides some requirements for this actor about AML and KYC processes. Salih?
MASAK means Financial Crimes Investigation Board. So, but in terms of this comparison with MiCA 2 Central Market Board law in Turkey, we can also approach, like, let's say, from consumer customer perspective, both frameworks prioritize investor protection. Because with the comprehensive disclosure requirements, they have both custody segregation requirements. So also for operational risk management frameworks are underlined in both regulations. We are also forced both from central market and MASAK for due diligence and AML and fraud requirements. In terms of market integrity, of course, we need licensed service providers as MiCA. Similar market manipulation prevention measures are now in draft versions of second regulations. So systemic risk monitoring are required, let's say. So in terms of these differentiations, in order to have a robust and stable ecosystem, finance system, there are some similarities as well.
Okay, I see you already went a bit further than I wanted, because my second question was actually about the different regulatory authorities that you have in Turkey, which I think makes a bit life for those who wants to apply for a license or to understand what is going on in Turkey a bit more complicated. Apart
Yes.
from like Europe or other countries where you have one supervisory authority, you need to go there, the one who will be reviewing your application, the one who also sets up some requirements. So you apply there and you receive the license for the specific service that you would love to provide. So in Turkey, we have, at least I counted, like 3 different main regulatory authority, which is MASAK, which is Financial Intelligence Unit, responsible for AML, KYC, then anti-money laundering, then Central Bank of Turkey, then there is a Capital Market Board of Turkey, then there is a TÜBİTAK. It's a lot. So
TÜBİTAK. Not
that's,
TÜBİTAK.
Yeah,
It's complicated, right? Yes.
It's very complicated. Not sure if it's a business friendly environment that you have now there, but just make it simpler for, let's say, crypto business owners who would love to go to Turkey and open the business. Is there, who is this authority that is responsible for issuing licensing? And do you have actually license in Turkey, a license for crypto service providers? And who is
Yeah.
issuing?
Okay, Salih, you should go on because you are the
Yeah,
expert
yeah.
of this topic.
Thanks. So you are right, Niko. It seems a little bit complicated, but the key player is in here. Key regulator is SPK, Capital Market Board, because with the addition of their law, which Gokhan previously mentioned, 6362 law number in our regulation. Now, crypto asset providers or custody service providers, exchange platforms are to be regulated by CMB, SPK. So, but on the other hand, SPK, our Capital Market Board, also authorized TÜBİTAK, our technology agency in Turkey, for implementing the details of technical requirements. So this is also a sub regulator for crypto asset providers. But we have MASAK, Financial Crimes Investigation Board. This regulator always supervises finance sectors. So a crypto service providers needs to follow MASAK's regulators, communiques, and suggestions as well. We previously mentioned about central bank's role. Our central banks, which also now publishing a digital currency, as well as other regulators, as well as other central banks in all over the world. But they also prohibited the crypto sector for, how can I say, for commerce, for financial trades, etc. But we are expecting to ease in this regulation as well. What there is a different way in Turkey. Banks now, also the biggest banks now, trying to start custody services in Turkey, and they also needs to get permission from their regulator, BRSA. But apart from banks, you need to be certified and licensed just from Central Capital Market Board.
And Capital Market Board in Turkey, this is the KHVC services. This is the slide that I just pulled on the screen. So this is a slide about the services that is regulated by the Capital Market Board.
Yes, you're right. That's it. That's it. For the licensing, we have requirements. We can also focus on these requirements. Like platforms and custody institutions have different requirements.
We will talk about it a bit later.
That's great. Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so now that is on the screen, we have like this trading, exchange services, initial coin offering, custody services, investment advisory. If a business does any of the services, they will need to go to the Capital Market Board to apply for a license, correct?
Yes.
Yes, that's true.
Okay, then it makes a bit more clear the situation. And about the second question that I asked about the possibility to pay in crypto for services or products, so it's still prohibited in Turkey. So I assume the only, let's say, interest in Turkish population is to buy cryptocurrency as a means of investment rather than a means of exchange.
That's true.
So, yeah, that's true. But we will see some differentiations, the regulations in near future. But no one can say the exact time. But right now, it is also licensed by capital market and regarded as investment.
Okay, that was very insightful. Thank you. Let's move on to our third question and about licensing. So we understood now that there is a licensing requirement that is presented by the Capital Market Board of Turkey. I would love to dive a bit deeper. So what are those licensing requirements? You mentioned before that the requirements are more or less similar to what we have in Europe in accordance with MiCA. Is it true, or maybe you have some peculiarities in Turkey?
Yes. Yeah. Gokhan, if you need, you can start for this question, or I can.
Yes, I can start for it. In the first, we have some requirements. SPK defines some requirements about licensing. First, we see a capital adequacy. Companies must meet a minimum capital thresholds. While the exact numbers are being finalized, the expectation is that only firms with financial stability will be allowed to operate. The Turkish Legislative Authority wants only resilient companies survive, so they are looking for a strong financial stability on the companies. I guess it is like 50 million Turkish liras. Salih, if I am making a mistake, please correct me. And we are also a corporate governance expectations in the company. They are defining some structures, they are defining some roles in the legislation. And if you apply as for a licensing, you should show the roles, specific roles with their experience, with their some standards. These roles should satisfy these standards. I mean, the personal, the individuals you're sharing with the legislative authorities should satisfy some expectations of SPK. And we're also seeing IT infrastructure and cybersecurity necessities here. Again, it's about resiliency. We do not want big companies because they are playing with a lot of client assets, and we don't want them to fail with a cyber attack, easy cyber attack. And again, there are internal control, risk, and audit functions, specific audit functions. And here we maybe some of us very familiar to assurance functions, but here legislative authority want to see three level of defense. First, the business unit. Second, internal control, risk management, and cybersecurity departments. And the third, external audit and internal audit departments. In this legislation, we see these necessities. You have to hire someone skillful, experienced in these roles. As we all remember in FTX case, the auditors, external auditors, claim that they haven't seen before any company who had hired that big risk management experts. So our Turkish legislative authority pay attention about these functions. And we also see AML and CTF compliance. Companies must have full anti-money laundering programs, including customer onboarding, transaction monitoring, and travel rule implementation. And MASAK, as we mentioned earlier, rules and defines the requirements. And our SPK legislation referring that legislative documentation. And we also see client asset safeguarding. Client funds and assets must be held secure and kept segregated from company assets. And here we also see in SPK, you should divide your exchange function and custody function. Salih, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I can just add some short details. You need to have a capital requirements in order to be licensed. In terms of platforms, this requires 150 million Turkish liras, let's say near around $4 million. For custody institutions, it's above that number, 500 million Turkish liras in capital, paid in capital. This should be paid in capital. And this additional equity requirements can also be differentiated when the operation starts officially. Also, you need to be compliant with TÜBİTAK standards. But as Gokhan said, we are forced now to implement on cybersecurity prevention methods like TÜBİTAK underline secure hardware modules like payment systems. Also, it defines how to manage cold wallet, hot wallet details, integration with central registry agency. So these are the technical infrastructure requirements in order to be licensed in Turkey as well. So you can also set the organization requirement, but the regulation strictly underlying the risk management processes and risk management organization, internal audit functions. So these are directly reporting to the board level, and they are required to report regularly to the directly regulators, not to their management board. These internal systems functions are really important according to regulation right now. So we are expecting a really highly regulated and strict organization in terms of these organizational level preventions.
Thank you. What strikes my attention that you mentioned about requirements is minimum share capital requirements. For example, for exchanges, it is 150 million
50
lira.
Turkish lira. Yes.
I'm sorry?
Yes, you're right.
And for custodians is 500 million liras. So just in dollars, 150 million lira is like $4 million. To be honest, I have never seen such a high share capital requirement in the world. Maybe you can correct someone even from our listeners. I'm not aware if any other country has such a very high share capital requirement. Maybe you can tell us, maybe you know some background stories about this requirement, why it is so high, $4 million to open just the exchange.
So our regulator sees this function, this sector, like an investment company. This is the result of this perspective. So in fintech sector, we have experienced a little bit ease enter to market capital requirements. Like our CBRT, central bank, regulates our payment system providers, e-money companies, etc. We are called these fintechs. These fintechs capital requirements are very low when compared to these numbers. But you are right, it is a little bit hard to start in business for this number of capitals. But on the other hand, we have a, how can I say, at least 60 companies which also apply to the TPK for this function. So you are right, it seems a little bit high, but on the other hand, we have 60 companies now needs aim to be licensed. Yes, it's contradictory. Let's see how it continues. Gokhan, maybe you can also add some details for this perspective.
Just to give you some comparison, so under MiCA in European Union, the share capital requirements from 50,000 euros and the highest one if 150,000 euros. So it's much lower share capital requirements when it comes to exchange services than in Turkey, which is $4 million. Yes, Gokhan?
This
Okay, in Turkish, financial institutions are known with their strict rules and requirements globally, and it also provides its strength because Turkey is not a Finland, Norway, German. You know, with the strategical geographic position, also this enforce us to be more strict about the rules. As we see, Turkey now bordering with a lot of different kind of problematic areas and geographies. So we cannot let our citizens suffer because of their problems, because of these problems. Every, how can I explain, geographic problem affects Turkish financial system. So if you want to play in Turkish crypto ecosystem, you should be tough, strong in financially. This is the reason. This is the main reason, because we suffered because of these weak financial institutions a lot. Imagine we are seeing a trouble in the region. It directly affects our financial institutions.
Okay. Thank you so much. Let's move on because we still have a lot of questions to answer. Just summarize for our audience. So you mentioned that there were some strict requirements related to capital requirements, share capital requirements we were discussing a lot just now. Then IT infrastructure, security controls, internal controls in terms of audit and risk management, and also AML compliance and travel rule implementation. So here I would love to stop and discuss a bit more about AML and especially FATF travel rule. When I was preparing for the webinar, I was of course reading a lot of materials about crypto regulation in Turkey, and I found in one article this information. You can please tell me if it's true or not. According to the report, the Ministry in Turkey will also introduce daily and monthly limits on stablecoin transfers to prevent the rapid outflow of illicit funds, especially from crimes like illegal betting and fraud. Users will be limited to $3,000 per day and $50,000 per month. And those who are compliant with FATF travel rule will have a higher limit. So is it true that you have on a legislative level, so it's in the law, this limit for users to use stablecoins or cryptocurrency?
Yes, right now.
Salih, go on.
Yes, right now we have this kind of limits because the travel rules, also AML requirements, fraud requirements are strictly enforced to the cryptocurrency companies in Turkey. So I can give an additional to these requirements. If you buy or sell any crypto coin, you need to also give some explanation details during the transaction. So for the daily limits, it is, I think I remember, as 2000 USD, like that, and monthly is 50,000 USD. So these are really strict requirements. But for the last, say, more than 1 year, our MASAK highly regulating the sector, finance sector, and increasing their audits. And since they are just starting to the business regulated in Turkey, now MASAK also takes these jobs very strict.
Is it also for legal persons, entities, this limit, so they cannot go above 50,000 per month if they would love to trade in crypto?
So even if it is B2C or B2B business, if you're asking from this perspective, the limits are same, but there are some objections to these limits. But on the other hand, DeFi protocols are excluded from these limits. So the uncentral markets are excluded from P2P transfers, are also free from this perspective.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Let's move on to another questions and about the process. Just very short answer. You already have experience of applying for crypto licenses in Turkey. How long does it take to receive a license in Turkey for crypto services?
I think no one can answer this question right now. because now we are in the process of this licensing. Right now, even if we are helping some companies for this license, let's clearly show the picture like that. Before last year, of course, we have some markets, exchange platforms in Turkey, and with the new law, now 40 days ago, last month, at the end of June, they prepared their files and applied to the SPK, Capital Market Board. And these ongoing companies now expecting their results from the regulator. After that, regulator says he will also start to accept these applications from non-operating new companies. And we can expect that in a, how can I say, in a smooth application process, it will take at least 9 months period, at least, because there are very detailed procedures in the regulation. But on the other hand, technical requirements also requires many times to apply it in the organization, to be applied in the organization. We can say it, some optimistic says this can be a little bit, how can I say, quick application process, but you need to be audited in terms of independent audit. Then you will be evaluated from regulators. So you need to design your IT organization. You need to design your internal system organization. There are some technical details and investment requirements. So all of this takes at least, let's say, 1 year period.
Oh, thank you, Salih. So do I understand correctly that there were none of the licenses yet issued for crypto asset service providers in Turkey? They're all in the process?
Yes, they are all in the process. They are ongoing companies. They are now free to exchange. Clients now using their platforms as well. But in the near soon, they will be officially licensed.
Okay, but like the license from Capital Market Board, they're still in the process to receive it. I understand they can still provide services because they were regulated providing services before, but at the moment, there are none of the companies that actually been licensed by the Capital Market Board.
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct. And there are
But-
many companies expecting the license. right now.
Okay.
And we can also add small things. For example, it also depends on how complete the initial application is, and maybe in the process SPK may ask you additional documentation or requirements. It depends on how they trust you or not. And we are seeing also legislation changes in this process. Maybe TÜBİTAK requirements maybe become more enforcing. So it may also, as Salih says, it is not easy to tell from now how long it will take, but I guess 9 months will be a good guess for it.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's move on and let's bring our audience into the discussion. So actually, we have questions to our audience. We would love to hear your opinion. The question will be pulled out now in the chat or in your screen. You will see it. Please let us know, what do you think? What do you see as the biggest challenge for crypto businesses in Turkey in terms of licensing requirements? And you have 4 options. Let us know your opinion.
Can we also answer, Niko?
No, I think
No, I am trying. We cannot. I am trying, but no. I love the question. And I'm seeing a lot of questions on the chat area, Salih.
Yes.
This evening
yes.
will not end.
Let's see. There are good questions. Let's try to answer.
I will see the results soon. So let's then move on while we are counting your words with another question. So we've seen before what services are regulated, but when it comes to initial coin offering, NFT services, DeFi sector, are these sectors regulated in Turkey, or it's still a gray zone or Wild West, totally unregulated?
Okay, I would love to answer these questions if Salih.
Please go.
Okay. As of today, under the new crypto legislation introduced in Turkey in July 2025, ICOs, NFTs, and DeFi applications are not explicitly regulated. And this is actually a conscious decision, not an oversight. And in this first, the primary focus of the new law is on centralized crypto as a service providers, which creates more risk for our customers, for the clients, for the citizens, because a huge money is assessed in these processes, used in this kind of business models. So first, they wanted to regulate these important sector actors. Then maybe we can see they will regulate other areas. The second, it is more complex if we compare with the exchange area. ICO, NFTs, DeFi, for example, NFTs have art, collectibles, art area collectibles. There are different kind of actors in this plane, in this area. DeFi, it is decentralized financial. It is still ongoing, improving itself, and maybe our legislative authority wants to see the improvements in this sector, or how European or other countries reflecting in this area. And third, we are also following, as I told you, we are also following and monitoring European Union MICA legislation. As we see in MICA regulation, they also excluded DeFi and NFTs in their scope. And I can make this explanation for this specific question.
Thank you so much.
But Niko, I guess after a while, after we learn, because AI, like AI, blockchain, crypto, these are very new technologies. We are still learning about their use cases, and legislative authorities, after a while, after they understand well, after they see the use cases, I guess they will see how they legislate or document this area.
Thank you so much. So here is a
Turkish market in terms of technology development, really keen to this area. Let's say there are really good expertise in tokenization in Turkey, but in terms of stable coins, we can expect this will be easy. But on the other hand, smart contracts a little bit maybe expecting the regulatory details. But I am not expecting like any lending or borrowing business will be served in terms of DeFi service in near future.
Thank you. That is clear. That is very also similar with the approach of European Union and actually the rest of the world. So coming back to our questions in terms of what is the most burdensome requirements, we have results. So the most popular answer is AML compliance and travel rule implementation. And after that, we have capital requirements and internal control audits. So the least burdensome requirements is actually IT infrastructure and security according to our audience. Thank you so much for participating. Let's move on because we don't have a lot of time, but we still have questions. And another question is actually very practical. And I think if we have in the audience people who are already have businesses registered somewhere else, and then they serve Turkish residents, I think this question would be interesting for them. So when I was researching about Turkey, I did not find out information about reverse solicitation. What does it mean? For example, in Europe, under MiCA, no, I'm sorry, technical person, can you please remove the question? It's not the time enough for second question. In Europe, MiCA allows, yes, third-party service providers to still serve EU residents on the reverse solicitation basis, meaning if they come on their own initiative, yes, there is no marketing campaigns, there is no advertisements, etc. But when I was also studying about Turkey, crypto law in Turkey, I actually did not find this. So my understanding was that if any crypto exchange have a person who is resident in Turkey that is coming to them and to ask for a service, this crypto exchange obligatory. He needs to have a license in Turkey in order to provide a service to a Turkish resident. So there is no reverse solicitation basis, which is very strict in comparison to Europe. Can you please clarify the situation? Is it still so? For example, if there is a crypto exchange registered, I don't know, in Panama or in another European country, in Poland, and then someone from Turkey comes to them, they cannot provide a service because they do not have a license in Turkey. Is it true or it's not?
Yes, Gokhan, if you want, you can start.
Okay, yes, there is no. If you want to operate in Turkish crypto ecosystem, you should have first legal presence and physical presence. You have no solicitation opportunity for now. Before it was the crypto companies may operate in gray area, but after this legislation amendment in SPK legislation, there is no room for it. Salih?
You're right. You need to be licensed in Turkey if you are serving in the border of Turkey in terms of, even if it is in terms of digitally. So you need to be licensed. But this reverse solicitation may be start in practice after the, let's say, the counterparties has their trust relations in terms of, let's say, Turkey has a agreement with UK and they started to operate common in terms of this area. But we are not expecting in soon any company to be served in Turkey should be licensed from SPK.
So, okay, so my understanding was correct. If a business registered somewhere else has a Turkish resident, they cannot serve them. They need to go to Turkey to first receive the license, and then they can be open to Turkish residents.
Yeah.
Okay. That is clear. My last questions, I would expect from you a really short answer because we don't have a lot of time and we have a lot of questions in our chat. So why would a business choose Turkey as a place of their incorporation?
I can start if you want, Gökhan.
Please go on.
This
Very
question is a little bit easy because more than 60 companies already applied to the SPK. We have many companies, and the background is about the Turkish young ecosystems, Turkish people, because we are really interested in crypto. So customer base, so demand across the supply in Turkey. So this is the quick answer. But on the other hand, our finance sector is really regulated and also integrated to the global system. So any finance initiatives in Turkey always aim to expand to the all over the world. So this is the second reason. So I think in terms of this reason, it is a good market for crypto investors.
Okay, thank you, Salih, so much. I agree also.
And I can add geography. Geography is very important. Turkey suits suited in the middle of Asia, Europe, Middle East, you know, it's a very strategic position. So your company may operate other regions over Turkey. For example, Binance, as I know, Binance Turkey is the most how can I say, producing market share in this region. I afraid to use wrong English word, but as I know, Binance Turkey is the biggest one in Europe, and it is not a chance because of the as Salih mentioned, that we have a young population. They are very keen to use this kind of technology, tokenization, DeFi, stable Web3 projects, and we see also AI is supporting blockchain technologies, and this is important. And I can also sell the licensing process is still on. It did not end it, and there's a competitive advantage if you get the license first or initially, and this can also be attractive for the companies who plan to invest in Turkey in crypto sector.
They already invested. Let's say we have some international players in Turkey, like you said, Binance, OKX, Bybit, KuCoin, etc. But on the other hand, we have strong local players like BTC, Türk, Paribu, etc.
Yeah.
Also, we have strong bankings for the custodian services, mostly custodian services. But there are also some casualties because of this hard, how can I say, competition. Some smaller local platforms or even international platforms now exiting due to this competitiveness.
Okay, thank you so much, Gokhan, Salih. I also agree with you in terms of customer base in Turkey is big, so that's why I think a lot of crypto companies would love to open a business there and to provide services inside Turkey. And you also mentioned about strong banking sector, so that's all really great. And I think that's why you already have 60 applications. Okay, let's take also some questions from our audience. And the first one is from Azamat. Is SPK, SPK understands the capital market board? Am I correct?
Yes.
Right.
Is the capital market board currently accepting license applications for crypto exchange and custodians?
Yes. I think during the webinar we answered these questions. Right now, yes, they are accepting, and some platforms and custodian services have issued their files to the SPK. Now they are waiting for license or review comments from the regulators.
Okay, and here's another question, which is quite actually interesting for me as well, in terms of share capital requirement. Can the full share capital requirement be used for operational expenses after it's fully paid, including
No.
post-license?
No, Because they will be also reporting their financial status regularly, and this will be expected. But the capital, also the assets, can be differentiated during the process. But you need to use their limits.
Okay, so actually this sum needs to always be on the balance of the company. It cannot be used, cannot be reduced.
Mhm.
Okay, another question, is there any open register for CASP in Turkey?
Yes, mostly banks applied for this.
Custodians or caps?
CASP.
Sorry.
So usually
Service
in
providers, platforms. Okay.
Ye-
Okay.
yeah, so in every country, for example, in many countries there is a regulatory authority, let's say Central Bank of X country, and then once the business is licensed, you can go to this website of the regulatory authority and you can see in the registry all the companies that receive license to provide crypto services. Is it the same in Turkey? Is there any open registry where you can see, okay, this company was licensed, so it has the right to provide such a service?
For custodian side, you need different requirements.
No,
So
custody, crypto as a service provider for
service
exchanges.
providers
Yeah.
applications are ongoing right now. If I understand the question right, correct. So there are around 60 companies on this process. So they are waiting their license. But on the other hand, there
No,
are
not
some
sorry.
companies ceasing operations.
He's asking if we can follow as individual from the website of SPK.
Sure.
Yes, you can do it.
Since we are in webinar, let's try to find quickly.
Yeah, it would be
And
nice.
I will try to copy to the chat. Let's see. Okay, I find it. That's
It is transparent. Sure, transparent. You can follow it.
Yes. You can follow the companies from this list.
Okay, we have another question. So I think you already mentioned the chat. We have another question about custody. So does the exchange necessarily need a custodian license in Turkey?
They need to make engagements with custodians. There are some expectations for platforms, but they don't have to be licensed. This is a second part, the different license. And mostly custodians are banks, but some platforms created new companies and they applied for this service.
There is a separation of duties in this
Yes.
area, in this side.
Yes.
They are applying general, globally very well-known internal control in this area, separating two duties to protect the client. If you operate as exchange, you cannot be a custodian. You should keep your client assets in other cold vault, hot vault area or custodian. You should have an agreement with another custodian company.
That is interesting point about Turkey's crypto regulation. While we are also waiting for another question, because I think I took all of them, if not most of them. While we're waiting, there is another question to our audience. So we would love also to hear more from you. We were discussing today crypto regulation in Turkey and the changes that were made in 2025 with the strict licensing requirements, capital requirements, etc. So what do you think? Is it actually powering the industry and it will positively impact the industry, or it will bring also some disadvantages, maybe especially for smaller crypto businesses, because the requirements are very strict? And do you see the question? I would love to my technical. Okay, so the question is here. Please answer your question. You have around 2 minutes, and now let's continue with the question. Do you see any other questions in the chat that was not answered? Gokhan, Salih?
I'm checking it. And thank you for the Ahmet Sütbaş because he also answered during our speaking to the questions.
Yes.
I do not see another question. Yes, we have.
There are some details for the foreign citizens, but I think in the practice they will be improvements, and these casualties will be improved and to be cleaned in near future. I think also the foreign citizens accounts has been locked because of correct KYC process. To KYC process, there are this question can be answered in terms of MASAK regulations. For the foreign citizens, should show local how can I say, address systems. If they are missing in terms of this part, if you do not have a registered address in Turkey, so your KYC means not totally completed. So in terms of KYC part, AML part, and fraud part, the regulation is very strict, and some foreign citizens in Turkey have suffered from this perspective.
Thank you, Salih. And while you were speaking, I received the result. So we have interesting result because we have 50-50. 50 of our audience thinks that new regulations, new rules, new requirements are actually very good for the industry, and 50 thinks that they're a bit overcomplicated. With this, I think we are coming to the end. So I would love to thanks to our speaker, Gokhan and Salih, that you found the time to join to this webinar to talk about crypto regulation with the hands-on experience that you have. Also, big kudos to our active users asking us a lot of questions and participating in the pools. And your last words.
Okay, I start, Salih. Thank you for attending and providing this opportunity. AMLBot is providing a good range of services for creating a digital trust in the crypto ecosystem, as we know, because maybe some of us also checking the global reports of Chainlink, Avalanche, and we are seeing it is an increasing sector and a lot of money is played or used in the sector, so it attracts bad actors' attention. And like AMLBot providing with its services help us to create more digital ecosystem in crypto. And in Turkey, we need this kind of actors, global actors, more urgently, because as we mentioned, we have a very young population. They love to play with this technology. They want to use this technology, but somebody should show us how to protect ourselves. So I pay attention about KYC, AML, service companies, cybersecurity companies, and their involvement in Turkey. Thank you for this opportunity. Salih.
Thanks to all. Maybe I can summarize like that. We don't need to wait for regulation to arrive because there are already global best practices. So if you want to business in crypto for this perspective, you need to prepare for licensing. Turkish sector has good advisors. You need to build a security by design, then focus on local trust. So they already token projects have started in Turkey. So you can also take advantage of this new area. So, and of course, you need to engage with policymakers. Then your job will be smooth and very effective. Thanks for all audience and AMLBot for this effective webinar.
Thank you so much to everyone. Thank you, Gokhan, talking also about AML. That is true. We also see the audience see AML as one of the most complicated requirements, and AMLBot here to help since we provide the KYT and KYC services. If anyone interested, thank you again for your time. Thank you, everybody. And we are done for today. Keep with us, stay with us, all the audience, and we soon will have another jurisdiction to talk about that is also very popular among crypto businesses, so stay tuned.